Good morning, everyone. We've just landed in the town of Tanga, Tanzania. I got here on a tiny six-seater plane, while my translator and ever-reliable local guide, who goes by the hilarious nickname Motya, drove 7 hours to meet me. We've already filmed a few shots around town, which we'll show you later. You'll see, people here live well. No one's starving or running around naked like some might assume when they think of Africa. Honestly, it all looks pretty neat and civilized. And just look at this view from the hotel. It's beautiful. Down below, a crowd is gathering, and it sounds like they're singing Christian hymns, maybe filming something. Tomorrow morning, we'll probably head out to the mining site. For now, we're soaking in the sound of a local Christian choir. Okay, guys, I have to say, this is just incredible. Remember those guys? They started singing at 7 in the morning when we arrived, and now it's 6 in the evening, and they're still going, with just a short break for food and water. Can you imagine that kind of stamina? They just change outfits and keep singing. I'm not sure what's going on, but that's some next-level endurance. Maybe that's the power of true faith. Anyway, we're here on a mission to scout out the mining operations along the Umba River. Our goal? Hunting down those stunning fuchsia-colored garnets. Oh, look over there in the back. You see all those fishing boats? Every morning they gather here, packed and ready, then head out somewhere, probably for a day of fishing. There they go again, setting off once more. The weather's just how I like it, exactly our kind of vibe. It's 28 degrees, not too hot at all, with a light, refreshing drizzle. I'm really hoping it stays this gentle when we're out mining. No one wants anyone fainting or getting heat stroke out there. And by that someone, I definitely don't mean myself. I'm talking about my guide, Motya. Despite being a true African through and through, he's actually the only one in all our trips who's managed to get both dehydrated and sunstroke. So after being thoroughly blessed by over 10 hours of nonstop, heartfelt Christian singing, yes, it was beautiful, but let's just say our spiritual cups are overflowing. We're finally hitting the road. As always, I'll show you around. We're surrounded by jungle and thorny shrubs, all lush and green thanks to the rainy season. And right over there is a mountain, just before it flows the Umba River. That's the one that carried all these gemstone riches down through the years. And just beyond that mountain, that's Kenya already. And just so you know, on the other side of that mountain, over in Kenya, there's apparently nothing being mined. So yeah, it looks like Tanzanians hit the jackpot on this one. Anyway, we've made another stop in a roadside town. This place has more of a Wild West meets real life kind of vibe. We're definitely far from the comforts of civilization now. The houses are made from a charming blend of manure, clay, and plain old dirt. Over there are some donkeys, your go-to transport solution around here, and they're hauling something somewhere. There's even a guy somewhere selling petrol out of a plastic jug, very boutique. No sewage system, no electricity, but hey, plenty of kids running around. So it's got that lively local charm. But look at that. What do I spot up there? A tiny solar panel on the roof, probably just enough to charge a phone. And somehow, in the middle of absolute nowhere, we've got full-blown, strong 4G signal with stable mobile internet. I have no idea how they pulled that off, but hey, credit where it's due. And now we're getting closer to the mountain. You can see it there, along with the river. I'd say we've got about another hour, maybe an hour and a half to go before we reach the mining site. Well, it's been an hour and a half, and yep, that mountain is still way off in the distance. Turns out the drive is just a tiny bit longer than we thought. But hey, that's the usual story. I'm used to it by now. That's why I always travel with plenty of water, snacks, and a truckload of patience. In the meantime, we've climbed up this little hill to show you what's going on around us. Take a look, see that? Just endless, impenetrable jungle all around. Completely wild, completely uninhabited. Welcome to the middle of nowhere. You know what's the most fascinating thing about this place? It's an absolutely golden investment opportunity, literally. This whole valley, all the land beneath our feet, was formed by deposits from the Umba River, flowing down from those mountains over there. So if we found garnets up in that one area, chances are they're spread throughout this entire floodplain. There might even be something right under where we're standing now, and it stretches all the way to those far-off hills. Just imagine, so much untouched, unexplored land. The catch? No one's ever actually been out here to do proper geological surveys. No expeditions, no mapping. So no one really knows where the gem veins run. That's where the opportunity comes in. You show up, slowly start scouting the area, figure out where the vein goes, and buy the land for peanuts. Start mining, and boom, you've got garnets for sure, and likely other gems too, just like the site we're heading to today. But of course, all this runs on one thing: investment. Getting a mining expedition going here isn't cheap. You need to get here, bring a team, transport equipment, run geological surveys. That alone takes at least 6 months. And only then can you even think about starting extraction. And no, it's not just show up and dig with a stick. This is the real deal. After a long, bumpy ride, we've finally made it. Classic story, we've arrived at a typical artisanal miner's settlement. So just a heads up, those tents and stick shelters you see, that's not some quirky lifestyle choice. It's temporary housing for people working out here. And yes, they're dusty and muddy, but not because they're messy by nature. It's just the reality of hard physical labor in rough conditions. But here's the thing, they actually earn more than your average farm worker. While someone working in a rural village might bring in $300 to $400 a month, out here miners can make $700 to even $1,000. Otherwise, let's be real. Who would agree to work in the middle of nowhere? Breaking rocks under the scorching sun all day? This is where those very same purple garnets, or fuchsia garnets as some call them, are mined. Take a look. Someone's already sifting through material right over there. And here's the most fascinating part. This is also where you sometimes find the famous Malaya Garnets, which totally backs up my theory that the river scattered garnets all across this valley. I mean, if Malaya Garnets made it all the way here, can you even imagine how massive the original deposit must have been for the river to spread them so widely and so far apart? It's kind of mind-blowing. So what are we actually going to do here? Well, first things first, we're going to have a look around, do a bit of digging ourselves, and then try to figure out who's in charge among this whole crowd of curious onlookers who've gathered to watch the white folks get dirty in the mud too. Then it's time to talk business. We'll be negotiating for regular supply because, you know, that's exactly what our company's all about. We come out here ourselves, straight to these artisanal mining settlements, connect directly with the people doing the actual work, and bring you top quality stones without the billion-layer markup. Because let's be honest, the kind of stones you'll find in high-end boutiques or big-name jewelry brands, you're easily paying triple for the same material. We've arrived at the site. The locals are having a bit of a heated discussion in their own language. Understandably, a little on edge. It's not every day they see white folks show up, especially ones who actually want to get their hands dirty and dig alongside them. Naturally, they're trying to figure out what's going on and why we're here. But it's all good. They'll settle down soon enough. Meanwhile, we've unintentionally gathered a bit of an audience. A few dozen people are now watching me watch 2 other guys doing the actual work down there. Classic. The process itself is pretty straightforward, same as in most artisanal mines. The gem-bearing layer here lies about 2.5 meters deep, so they're digging down, tossing the material onto sieves, washing it through, and then bringing it over here to dry. Once that's done, we'll sift through it and see what kind of catch we've got today. Fingers crossed for some sparkle. Honestly, it's pretty similar to the mining site we visited before. Check out our earlier videos if you missed it. The bonus here, though, we're not just finding Malaya garnets, but also those gorgeous purple fuchsia ones. Looks like we should have just come here from the start. 2 birds, 1 stone. Some of the local guys just brought over a few stones to show us what they found. The sun is blazing right now, so it's hard to show the colors properly. Let's shift a bit and hold them up closer to the flashlight. There we go. The color is absolutely stunning. You can already tell how amazing these are going to look once they're cut. Here's one, and another one here, and this one. This one is the closest to what we're after. We're looking for that perfect foxy color, those deep purplish shades, as intense and violet as possible. That's the dream. They've just brought over another little batch to show us, but this time, the color's not quite right. It leans more toward red, and that's not what we came for. We're after something different. Plus the size, way too small. Once you cut these, there'll be barely anything left. These ones won't make the cut, literally. The guys are still working on stripping off the top layer for now. Someone's supposed to bring me gloves and a hat soon, and then I'll go dig in the mud too. Gotta give the locals some kind of show, right? In the meantime, look what we've been handed. A fairly chunky garnet. Nice size for sure, but sadly, when you hold it up to the light, the color turns out to be a pretty pale pink. Not what we're after. After cutting, it'll lose even more saturation, and just look, meh. We're only picking the top-tier stones with that rich, vivid color. And this, my friends, is exactly that so-called poetic wine color people love to romanticize. But in reality, it's the cheapest and least desirable shade out there. It shows up way too often, and frankly, it's just not that exciting. Whether it's wine-colored spinels or garnets, they usually go for next to nothing. The market is flooded with them. I can definitely say the locals are having a fabulous time laughing at my expense. They keep chatting and cracking up, and my poor translator is absolutely no help. Turns out he doesn't speak their dialect either. They're from a tribe with their own distinct language, and he's just as lost as I am. But one thing's for sure, they're definitely enjoying the show we're putting on. All right, that's enough digging for now. It's hot out here. What really wears you out isn't even the movement, it's just the heat. Now let's do a quick crash course in amateur geology. See this whole section here, these few meters? That's all just sand. Nothing interesting there. But here, where you start to see those white little stones, that's where the gem-bearing layer begins. The actual garnet layer itself, it's only about 2 centimeters thick. Yep, that's it. Pretty thin, but that's where the magic hides. That's the stuff we throw onto the sieve and sort through to find our garnets. But in between all the giggling, they do keep working. Right now, they're clearing off another layer of what they call dust from above in their local language. Once that's done, they'll haul it away. That'll probably take another hour and a half, maybe 2. So for now, we're just waiting for the batch we've already sieved to dry out a bit. Then we'll see what kind of goodies ended up in our net. And if we're lucky, we might even make it over to the spot where those peach-colored Malaya garnets are found. Fingers crossed. Well, look at that. We didn't have to go far at all. One of the guys just found a Malaya garnet right over there. And check it out. It's literally just on the other side of the wall from where we were digging a minute ago. That's what I call convenient. The color and size are both excellent. No doubt we'll be buying this one right away. Just a quick reminder, Malaya is a trade name for garnets with that golden peachy pink hue that's super sought after right now. The name comes from the original mining area where they were first discovered, Malaya. And here comes the first tray. One of the guys is already sorting through the pile, and yep, he's already picked out a couple of small garnets just from a quick scan. That, my friends, is what we call professionalism. If it were me poking around that orange basin, I'd be sifting through it for 3 days with a magnifying glass. But this guy, he'll probably finish in 20 minutes flat. Pure skill. You can't fake that. Motya, where do you think you're climbing? Don't get in the way of the pros. We've just pulled the seller aside for a private chat, because let's be real, there's no way to have a proper negotiation with a whole audience watching. Classic situation. At first they throw out something wild like $1,000 per carat for uncut garnet, which if you actually cut it would mean a price of $5,000 per carat. Totally standard behavior. Sometimes they just get overwhelmed or caught off guard and start tossing out fantasy numbers, asking for $1 million or something equally hilarious. It's not realistic, of course, but once the initial shock wears off, we'll have a proper talk and get down to real prices. Now take a look at this. This spot right here is a big deal. This, my friends, is what's called an outcrop. And to be honest, I didn't even know about it until now. These kinds of outcrops are exactly where the main gem deposit starts. And it's from spots like this that the river has been eroding and scattering stones all across the valley. Here we've already hit hard rock, no more loose sandstone or soft layers. You can see the stones here look completely different. It's serious ground now, the kind you'd actually need to blast through to mine properly. When it comes to blasting and excavation, there's a lot of discussion in the international community these days about how ethical and eco-friendly mining really is. And I totally get that. It's an important conversation. But in my opinion, sites like this one actually have a pretty minimal impact on the environment. We're in the savannah here, and honestly, as soon as digging stops, the jungle grows right back over everything, probably within a few weeks. You'd never even know anything happened. It's a completely different story when you're using heavy machinery, altering the natural landscape, or introducing chemicals. That's where real damage happens. And as you know, we never support illegal mining or any operation that uses destructive methods. This kind of small-scale manual mining, at least from what I've seen, feels far from harmful. I mean, I'm no environmental scientist, but from experience, this looks like a pretty non-destructive way to source gems. All right, back to our little pit. As you can see, they did have to blast here, but the depth still isn't massive. Maybe 10, 12 meters at most. I was told they did the most recent blast just yesterday, and now they're sorting through the debris. They're about to chip away a bit more material, and who knows, if we're lucky and they decide to blast again soon, maybe we'll get some explosive footage for you. And here's today's haul. As you can see, some really lovely little garnets. Maybe not a massive amount, but still, not bad at all for a single day. Keep in mind though, the camera just doesn't do the color justice. What I see with my own eyes is much richer. On video, they come off a bit faded. But even now, you can already tell these are going to look absolutely stunning once they're cut. You can see the potential shining through. Well, I'd say we had a pretty productive day. The best part? Everything turned out to be quite close. No need to trek for hours through the bush from one spot to another. And speaking of the environment, here's something that is actually damaging. Trash. Unfortunately, this isn't the result of mining, but of people. You'll find the same kind of litter in cities, towns, everywhere, really. It's sad, honestly. And who knows if the local culture will ever shift on that. Though let's be real, it's not just here. People all over the world love to leave a mess. Somehow, humanity just hasn't quite figured out how to behave respectfully toward nature. That's the real shame. Now begins the classic stage, evaluating the local stones people have brought us to sell. First up, we've got a very cute little blue sapphire, and judging by eye, non-laboratory eye that is, it does look like a genuine sapphire. But then we've got this one they're calling a yellow sapphire. Yeah, no, that one's almost certainly synthetic. A proper lab test would give a clear answer, but since we don't exactly have a lab in the middle of the savannah, we're going with my experience. And my experience says not the real deal. But hey, it happens. Even when you're right at the source, people will always try to slip a few fakes into the mix. Then finally, someone brought us a proper stone. Right size, right color, right everything. Exactly what we're here for. Ideally, we'd love to buy about 50 or 60 stones like this during this trip. But of course, they're asking for a magical unicorn price. So now it's time for the negotiation dance. Here's another little garnet, but the color's off. It leans too much into the red tones, not what we're after. And even though the size isn't bad, it's not suitable for cutting. There's a noticeable chip or indentation, which would lead to a major weight loss during fasting. It just wouldn't be a smart or efficient stone to work with. And last up, yeah, this one's definitely not for us. So we're wrapping things up and heading back. Later this evening, the actual mine owners are coming to meet us, and we'll have a more serious, heart-to-heart chat about prices and bulk purchasing. In the meantime, a little bonus adventure. Stepped out for a quick bathroom break in the bushes and stumbled across this. That, my friends, is elephant dung. Judging by the size of the patty, no one else could have left it. And this is exactly the kind of risk you face in the savannah. This isn't a national park or fenced reserve, it's open land. Wild animals are everywhere, and while you might not see them with your own eyes, they see you just fine. So yeah, turn your back on a bush to do your business, and something might just reach out from that bush and grab you by the backside. Stay alert, even if you're just a tourist. Listen to your guides, and if they say don't get out of the car, don't get out of the car. And on that cheerful note, we'll wrap it up for today. I hope you enjoyed this wild African adventure, all from the cozy comfort of your home. Here's one last look at the sunset and the mountain, just to leave you with something beautiful. I'm not saying goodbye, just stay tuned. There's still so much more from this trip to share with you. Africa didn't disappoint,